So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. No, I know, once again, it's not Master League and the Road to Glory series. I apologize. But we do have some news, a little bit more news regarding UFL. And this is really, I think, going to be the game that gets way more publicity than the likes of Goals. Goals hasn't even really been announced properly. There's nothing to show for it, and it's all just kind of talk. So I generally think UFL is going to be the game we keep an eye on over the course of the next few months. And I don't think there'll be a release date till probably sometime maybe next year. But we'll still touch upon it. All right? Simple as that. So, yeah, before we get into it, look, I know the Road to Glory series, but you guys have to understand something. And I'm going to get this out of the way real quick. I always look at my analytics. I see what videos do well and what don't. And you guys also have to understand that it does take a lot of time to do the Road to Glory series. An hour and a half to record, I'd say. Another hour or so to edit it. Then you've got to make the graphics, even if that's half an hour. Render the videos another half an hour. Then you've got to do all the descriptions, all the tags, update the thumbnail. You're talking a good 4 or 5 hours, folks, for me to put out one Road to Glory series video. And it doesn't get anywhere near the same views as obviously the news stories that I put out, because this is more relevant and I'm trying to keep my channel relevant to gain more traction, views, subscribers for the long run. In the long run, it works out for me, because if I do one day, thankfully somehow, turn YouTube into a full-time job, then I can sit down and you know, do a Master League for 4 or 5 hours, and it's not a big concern of mine because I know I'm going to get the views. But right now, I'm just trying to stay current, so bear with me. But I am off work Monday, so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play a lot of Road to Glory series stuff and then just start editing that. And, you know, we'll get the Road to Glory series going, and then we'll get a bit of traction. But, you know, FIFA 22 is around the corner as well, so yeah, there's a lot of content to come. Anyway, let's dive right into this. So there is an article, an actual decent one this time, not a short snippet one, talking about UFL, talking to the CEO, just to get a bit of a better flavour. Then after that, we're going to be looking at some of the questions that people have asked. And then after that, there's a little bit more information from the CEO himself, talking about a few things that might interest you guys. So let's dive into it. Here we go. All right, so let's start off with the IGN article. This came out on the 26th of August, 2021. And it says how UFL is aiming to compete with FIFA and eFootball. And I'm sure they put this out before, and I had a brief look at it. But now there's an actual article with like questions and stuff. Well, not questions, but an article with the CEO talking about like what he wants to do. I'm not going to read the top half because that's not really relevant too much. We have seen these screenshots. So West Ham are apparently officially licensed. This says in-game footage, work in progress. I know someone mentioned like a few things were wrong stadium-wise. I don't know. I've never really been to the London Stadium. Don't take too much notice. But they do have the West Ham license. So that's pretty cool. You know, always difficult to get that kind of stuff. So let's dive down a little bit here. So, it's clear when speaking to Nashalov, who is the CEO, that this isn't some snap decision to make a new football game and get in on the action. Well, no, it's taken them right there. 5 years already. He does touch upon that, though. It hasn't been in the works for 5 years, people. Don't get too carried away. They haven't really been building it non-stop for 5 years. And a huge amount of research was put into the football game genre before creative work on UFL even began. I've got fur all over me. I've got fur all over me ball. All right, so before going into the development stage of the game, we conducted an in-depth study of the market, analyzed players' needs and demands, examined the pros and the cons of the existing gaming titles, and very much more. I wonder which games that would be. The feedback and the data we collected motivated us to create a brand new game, one that meets and exceeds gamers' vision of the perfect football game. Now, there really isn't, first of all, a perfect football game. What I think is perfect in a football game might be completely different to what you guys think is perfect in a football game. So, yeah, I think just trying to strike a balance is probably the best way to go about it, and trying to find that perfect vision. Then he does state, though, the perfect football game may well sound very much like a lofty ambition, but with the murmurs of disgruntlement among the FIFA community at its continued stagnation as loud as ever, UFL sees an opportunity to enter its horse into the race. Why not? But why does Nashalov feel like UFL will break the losing streak of non-EA and Konami football games that have sought to get a foothold? This is what he says. Football games have been on the market for more than 25 years, Nashalov begins, as he explains UFL's philosophy. However, the games on the market today have failed to innovate because they really haven't needed to. Over the years, football simulators have barely updated themselves to keep up with the modern gaming trends, mechanics, and business models. The community has been complaining about it for years. I mean, look, folks, we complain about it, but we still spend all the money online. You know, I'm guilty of it as well. Whether you guys send me a donation or not, we're still spending that money that we earn back into the games. And then EA look at that and they go, well, we must be doing something right. But what are you going to get? Everyone to boycott it? It's kind of hard to do. So perhaps existing football games with an eye towards their strong legacy have found it difficult to change and bring new features in a timely manner. UFL, on the other hand, is a brand new game that embodies and reflects gamers' hopes and expectations. Yeah, but have they really put out, you know, like a questionnaire or something for us to fill out? How do they know what our hopes and expectations are? They've really asked us. They've kind of just gone with what they think might be the correct way to do it. But, you know, I agree with what they're saying, though, so fair enough. More than anything, UFL seems born from the developers' frustrations with the directions both EA and Konami have taken their flagship football games in over the recent years. The studio touts its developers as football fans and gamers ourselves, ultimately striving to create the sort of football simulation they dream of playing. But what exactly will make UFL stand out? So one big question is club and league licenses. Here we go. Something FIFA have famously held over their rivals historically. Yes, we know. On the Strikers website, it states in UFL, players will be able to create their own football clubs made up of more than 5,000 licensed footballers and compete. You guys didn't hear that. Just ignore it. Compete with other gamers worldwide to prove their skills and climb to the very top of the league. So it does state you create your own football clubs. Interesting. From this, we can speculate that perhaps players will be creating their own virtual teams built from squads or real-life footballers. This hasn't been explained in any way by the developers, but certainly sounds different to what we have currently with certain games. Well, yeah, I mean, true-ish. You've got Ultimate Team, which basically is create your own team, you know, and now they've got Career Mode, which is kind of create your own club. So FIFA have kind of got into that whole create your own club scenario. While we're yet to see any gameplay, the basic setup sounds like a hybrid of FIFA and Football Manager, putting as much emphasis on what happens off the pitch as on it. Nashalov explains, you will manage your club, form a roster, develop tactics, and compete with other gamers in seasons to prove your skills and climb to the very top of the league. Competitive, fair gaming is at the very core of UFL's gameplay. In this competition, your victory depends solely on your gaming skills and the choices you make. I mean, it does sound good, doesn't it? But we still got to see how that's going to pan out overall. And as we know, we did see the trailer. I'll let you guys look at it very, very quickly if you haven't seen it already. It's on the Unreal Engine. There's a few snippets of kind of CGI stuff, tying up the boots. They look good and everything. And then you've got, obviously, the London Stadium there. A couple of players running out onto the turf, running for the ball, going for a sliding challenge, and that was it. So nothing crazy there. Free to play, though. Fair to play. And it's coming soon. And you can also join this website if you want to get like updates and stuff. Right, fair to play is UFL's mantra, the core idea that drives what it's trying to achieve, and ultimately its weapon in the fight against FIFA. But I've always said, don't try and compete with FIFA. It's pointless. You know, you can't compete. That's like, I mean, who is it? who do you think? That's like having, I don't know, a League One side competing with Manchester United or Man City or Chelsea. Not going to happen. The funds are already there for EA. They're way, way, way too high up there. Just do your own thing. It's no secret that the loot box nature and pay-to-win aspects of FIFA's Ultimate Team mode have been under heavy scrutiny for years now. And with billions of dollars being spent on it by players each year, it's seemingly impossible to avoid a pay-to-win landscape and developing. Yes. Strikers Inc. want to keep away from this approach competitively. That's not right. Completely. Firmly believing that the player's skill level and nothing else should determine how successful they are in a football game. Well, yes, we all want that. This is one of our core principles, essential for everything we do. We believe that our players' success should not depend on the number of in-game purchases or the value of donations they make, but on their gaming skills, experience, and mastery. You will never be obligated to purchase anything in UFL to achieve high ranks and remain competitive. See, my only thing about that, though, is how are you going to keep this game going? If it's free to play and you don't need to buy stuff, I reckon there are going to be skins and kits and stuff you can purchase. It's got to happen. Because otherwise, how are you going to fund this game in the long term? They've got to think long term, So for me, yeah, you can say that, but you're going to have microtransactions somewhere here. The fair-to-play concept also means that we will regularly add new features and updates with no mandatory payments or yearly fees. I mean, it sounds too good to be true. Free-to-play is an established distributional model in the gaming industry and one we want to bring to the football simulation genre. We believe the fair-to-play model will make our game much more appealing for all the football lovers out there. So, in UFL, players will be able to control all aspects as a scam likely calls coming in. Get out of here, son. So inconsiderate, these people. In UFL, players will be able to control all aspects of the game, ranging from teams or a team's composition to what tactics and formation will be used in the up-and-coming match. Your path to victory is determined by your skill and ability. In other words, our game is designed to be a fair-to-play experience that implies a skill-first approach and zero tolerance for pay-to-win options. Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard it. That's pretty much what they're trying to pin that on this game, 100%. Might as well call it UFL, the ultimate skill footballing simulator. I don't know. Come up with something. So, eFootball, Konami's rebrand of PES, well, it's not PES anymore, it's completely different, will also soon be releasing a free-to-play game, but there will be transactions. So the shift that Nashalov speaks about is already taking place. But with still some confusion about eFootball will work on how eFootball will work in terms of paid add-ons such as modes and card packs, it's certainly not going to be the completely free model that UFL claims to be. We don't have full details on how that will work just yet, but it seems as though Nashalov is promising cosmetic-only paid content throughout UFL. As I said, buying kits, maybe buying a headband, wearing a hat. I don't know. Come up with something fun. Let's move through here. Is there any more actual interesting points from the man himself? Alright, and then pretty much the rest of it, folks, is nothing too exciting. We don't have any kind of official release date. As I said, probably next year, maybe we'll get some, gameplay, I would expect. Because we've seen nothing. FIFA, we've seen gameplay. Even eFootball, we've played kind of the stability test. We've had trailers. We know that's coming this year. Well, probably the end of September, maybe. But this game, no, we don't really know. If you get what I mean. Right, so let's move forward quickly to this Q&A session. Now, this was very short and sweet. I was hoping it'd be a little bit longer. But we're going to plow through it. So, let's do it. Right, first things first, what's the release date? And they say, we do not share the date as we're still working on it. It really depends on a number of factors, and we don't want to disappoint you with broken promises. Yep, we've heard those before. As soon as we're ready, we will tell everyone. We're as impatient to share as you are to hear. So there you go. No actual news on the release date yet. Will there be servers for the Arabic regions? That's an interesting question. We are looking closely at servers locations at the moment. We are collecting data and analyzing the potential number of players for each region. how big is the community, and many other things. So basically stay tuned. Right, this was interesting, but especially for myself and those that like offline. Are there any other offline modes planned? Career mode? Maybe. Well, they said, we're very focused on our core game mode, which is online. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to run properly in order to make the game stable, but UFL will have an offline mode that can play with friends. So it's basically like kickoff. That's pretty much it. It's like a kickoff mode. And I'm hoping this is just like a bit of a teaser, and then they'll, maybe, I'm not saying day 1 or day 20, day 50, but at some point, hopefully they'll maybe bring in some sort of offline mode, depending on how good the game itself is, because you've got to work with the AI. But in a football game, you're always working with the AI. Even if you're playing human versus human, you can't control 11 players. You're only controlling that one player. So you've still got to program all the other players on the field. So we'll see if it's that difficult to maybe add something in the future. What about animations? How does the animation system work in the game? Well, they said in UFL we have an internal motion capture studio that works on animations, both in-game and cutscenes. This is one of the most important and complicated parts of football simulation games. Well, yeah, just ask EA and Konami about the animations that we see. It's always comedy gold sometimes. So, will you be listening to the community? Because the community is very important these days. They stated with a big sure, we already are, and remember, UFL is the one and only source of information you may and should trust. Stay tuned for more. And then that was it, which is a bit disappointing. There was hardly any questions that were answered, which, as I said, a game that's been in development for so long, you want to see maybe a little bit more. But we are going to head over to the CEO's Twitter page, Eugene, who, there's the article for it. I'll leave the link for that in the description if you want to check it out. And there are a couple of screenshots from, obviously, the London Stadium. But he answered a few questions, so let's go ahead and go through them. So here we go. Right, this one right here. So the game is in development for almost 5 years. Why not show us some gameplay? And it's a very, very valid point to make. Like 5 years, surely you've got something to show. Konami have been working on eFootball apparently for 2 years, but they still showed something. So he says, I will elaborate on this a little. We started working on UFL 4.5 years ago, and we started building the team for the game 5 years ago. The team was built from scratch throughout this period. It was quite a quest which we have successfully completed. So we haven't been a big studio for 5 years, only part of this time. I'd say around half of the time. So 2.5 years they've really been making the game. Remember, we have to cover the path to the other games, and teams have been going through for 20 years plus. We don't want to show things that will look unpolished. Fair enough. We've started with this plan with our teaser, and we will keep to it. We're excited here inside the team and willing to show stuff. I think we want this even more than you guys do, because we've known we're on the fresh start. We're on, some of the grammar here is, I don't know if he was on the toilet when he was writing this. Fresh for almost 5 years, but here's the tease. The game is already playable, so it is playable. That's good news. We play test it internally every day. Like, literally. So there we have it. They've basically been making the game now for probably 2 to 3 years, and they play it every single day. So there is actually a playable build, which is good news. Any other licenses? He says, we have partner clubs across all major football territories and star ballers on board. I wonder who. We can't disclose details that early, though, as they are important parts of our marketing campaign that started only last week. Thanks, everyone. Keep in touch. Yeah, it would be interesting to see how their marketing goes, how well. Marketing a game can make you or break you. It really can. And if you want publicity, you got to get it right, folks. You really have to. Read through the thread. We'll look into it. We have lots of pro players, by the way, who work with us, and this thread got us slightly surprised. Fuma is very complex and hard to master, especially keeping in mind gamepad wear, connection delay, and other. Thanks, we'll discuss internally. So that was something about manual. People were asking about, here it is, manual controls, right? So we've seen a number of these questions. What's behind the idea? I wonder if this guy, has he played PES on mobile, on Fuma? Have you? It's fantastic. It brings a whole new level to the game. Is that somehow related to that you're afraid of shady mechanics put into control assistance? Please elaborate to give us more data. Yeah, this guy's definitely not. His native language is not English, which, you know, it's fine. Okay, so yeah, people are asking about manual controls, and pretty much he doesn't really grasp it yet. He's saying, well, you know, Fuma is it is hard, like, but give us the option. That I think if you're going to have, you know, a completely manual-only game, or an option for it, you got to play against manual-only players too. Don't be doing the whole matchmaking assisted versus manual. It's stupid. I hate it. Got to be a fair playing field. So if you're going to do manual, put it manual for everyone, or assisted for everyone. You can't have either or, you know, or pair up correctly. So that was that, and I think that probably was, oh yeah, that was the manual one there. So those are the questions that he answered in a nutshell, folks, and that is all the information we have. So there's more info about this game than Goals by an absolute mile. Goals is still being announced, but it is being, I don't know, that Kurt FIFA guy is involved, and I don't know. If anyone from FIFA is involved in making a game, I will hold judgment on how good it's going to be. If you're coming from FIFA, you're probably going to want that game to play like FIFA, wouldn't you? And I don't want another FIFA game. We only need one. That's it. Forget it. No more FIFA. So anyway, that is all for today, ladies and gents. Let me know what you make of all this information. What are you excited about? If there is something you're excited about. But hopefully you guys understand why I put these videos out. Because I do want to stay relevant. I do want to stay current. I do enjoy covering this kind of information, letting you guys know what's going on. But I also enjoy playing PES. But also, folks, I am a little bit bored lately of playing PES because I play it like every day and it just drains me. And as I said, it takes me like 4 or 5 hours to do one video. And imagine that. Every day? That's a lot of work. Anyway, we'll be back shortly. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Subscribe for the latest. And until next time, take care.